My name is Claudia Garcia Moreno, and I have the honor of serving as chair of the SVRI Forum. And also, I'm one of the co-founders of the Sexual Violence Research Initiative. So today marks an important continuation of the journey towards the SVRI Forum 2026 in Bangkok. We've been doing these forums for quite a while. And some of you have joined us already for the first launch of this forum in October of last year, where we formally introduced the forum and publicly announced our co-hosts for 2026. But I'm going to mention them again. Our co-hosts for this forum are the Southeast Asia GBV Prevention Platform and the United Nations Joint Program on GBV Prevention in Southeast Asia, which is led by UN Women and UNFPA. Both of these initiatives are funded, supported by the Australian government and work through collaborations and lots of partnerships across the region and other multilateral agencies. And the focus is to strengthen locally led evidence-based GBV prevention across Southeast Asia and the Pacific. Since that October 2025 initial launch, we have continued to deepen the partnerships with the two groups I mentioned, including hosting an in-person forum information session in November of 2025. And we continue to be very grateful for the support of our partners, grounding us in the needs and perspectives of the region and our ongoing collaboration with them as our official co-hosts for this forum 2026. For those of you who are joining the SVRI Forum community for the first time, this is a global convening that we hold every 2 years, and that brings together researchers, practitioners, policymakers, funders, activists. You know, the number of stakeholders grows every time, that are working to prevent and respond to violence against women, violence against children, and other forms of violence driven by gender inequality, with a focus on low and middle income countries. And it is a space that is really designed to be a very good networking space, a space where we share evidence, we learn across regions and sectors, and we build on the relationships that sustain this work over time. And we work really hard to make sure that it is a safe space where people feel free to share, and not just the successes, but also the challenges. So this year, the SVRI Forum will take place in Bangkok, in Thailand, from the 5th to the 9th of October, 2026. And today's session is just an opportunity for us to reconnect, to share with you where the forum planning stands, and to hear directly from those who know the forum well and others who may have questions. So with just that brief introduction, I'm going to now go through a few housekeeping points. So if I could have the first slide, please. It's already there. Thank you. So basically, just, everybody take a deep breath and settle in to be present for the next 60 minutes, which is the duration of our session. The session is going to be recorded and will be shared publicly on SVRI platforms in the next couple of days. So for this reason, we kindly ask that no additional note takers, AI things are brought into the webinar. We'll keep everyone muted, but we warmly invite you to introduce yourselves in the chat with your name and where you're signing in from. We have translation into Spanish and French. You need to click the globe icon on the Zoom bar and select your preferred language to hear interpretation. And we also have live captions available. So click the show captions on your Zoom toolbar, and that will provide you the subtitles during the meeting in real time. We welcome questions and reflections throughout the session. So please feel free to use either the Q&A box or the chat. We'll try to bring as many questions as we have time for discussion, but obviously we'll be limited by the time. So, thank you for being here and for making this space, interactive and in a place of dialogue. So the next slide, just very briefly, to walk you through the next hour program. We're going to begin with a short overview of the SVRI Forum, including key dates and ways to engage, that will be presented by Liz Dartnall, who is the Executive Director of the SVRI. And Liz will share where we are and what lies ahead in terms of the road to Bangkok. And following that, we will move into a panel discussion moderated by Alessandra Guedes, Gender and Development Manager at the UNICEF Office of Strategy and Evidence Innocenti, and SVRI Leadership Council co-chair. More detailed bios from everyone are in the chat. Alessandra is going to introduce the speakers and guide a conversation among those who have been forum partners for a while and those that are new, and reflecting on what the forum has meant to them and how we see its value moving forward. And then we'll have open floor for questions and reflections. And I'll come back to you with some closing remarks at the end and next steps. So with that, it is my pleasure to invite Liz to take us into the Forum 2026 overview. So over to you, Liz.
Thank you so much, Claudia, and welcome everybody. It's so great to have so many of you on the call, people that have been part of the forum before, but long-standing partners of the SVRI, and hopefully new folk that are going to be able to join us at the forum and enjoy this really wonderful event. This regional dialogue is a part of a series of launches of the SVRI Forum for the Bangkok Center at Centara Grand Conference Center in October. And I really want to just take a real opportunity here to thank all of our members, our forum funders and partners, and the SVRI Forum co-hosts that Claudia has already mentioned, the GBV Prevention Platform for Southeast Asia Pacific, and the UN Joint Program, UN Women and UNFPA. But before I talk about the forum, I just want to share a little bit about the SVRI so you can get an understanding of who we are and why this event is so important to us. Next slide, please, Paula. So the SVRI was founded in 2003 by a small group of researchers and practitioners, of which Claudia was one of. Thank you, Claudia, for being with us on this long journey, who really recognized the deep inequity and violence. The yeah,
we are just struggling to hear you a little. Yeah,
you're struggling to hear me.
That's better.
Is that better? Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So 10,000 members across the globe, building and sharing evidence to end violence against women and violence against children. The SVRI believes that research capacity everywhere is essential for social progress, not just in high-income countries, but we know that funding remains uneven, and often the work being done is not informed by those that are closest to the communities and to the survivors whom our research is being done in service of. So our work is about strengthening this space, amplifying underrepresented voices, promoting partnerships, and influencing change through the evidence that we are building together. And as I often say, when we stop counting violence, we stop seeing violence. And so it's a reminder that evidence is not just data, it is visibility and it's accountability. And the SVRI Forum is when all of this comes together, where research, practice, and partnership meet, and where the global field connects to learn, share, and collaborate. So let me talk a little bit about the forum. Next slide, please, Paula. The forum really is a living expression of the mission of the SVRI to build a stronger, more equitable and impactful field of research and evidence building on violence against women and children. As Claudia mentioned, with a particular focus on low and middle income countries. It is a 5-day event that brings together multiple players in the field from across the world, really all of us committed to ending violence against women and children. And we're hoping that SVRI Forum 2026 will be one of our biggest and most impactful events yet, and most inclusive forum yet. So just to give you an idea of the program, Monday we're going to open up with about 23 pre-conference workshops. And these workshops have been selected through an open call process and provide you with opportunities for learning, collaboration, and networking. And that will be followed by our opening and welcome, where you get together to meet each other again if you've been before, but also to meet new folk as well, and to celebrate coming together in solidarity around trying to do this work. From Tuesday to Thursday, the Forum abstract-driven program happens with plenaries, parallel sessions, and all of this is built up from the abstracts that we have received. So please get your abstracts in. And this is an opportunity to ask us about the abstracts. In the abstract-driven program, we feature 4-minute talks, posters, dialogic sessions, all of which have been shaped directly by you, the field, through surveys that we've asked you, what do you want to see on the program? And then Friday is rounded off with participant-driven events, which are times for people to say, what does all this data mean? What are all these programs that have been shared, the work that's been shared, and what does that mean for my work? Or to host events that you think would be really important to be sharing with other folk. These are driven by you, participants, and there are also few opportunities to hold your own meetings throughout the week. But note that these applications are open right now, but space is limited, so do get online and apply. And there's also a vibrant exhibition space for you to showcase your work, and applications for this space is also available now online. And throughout the week, we try to ensure that there's art, film, wellness activities, and we really want to ensure that it's infused with celebration to really celebrate the wins of the field, because joy, creativity, and care are all part of what sustain us in this work. Next slide, please. This slide shows how much the forum continues to grow, not only in size, but also in reach and diversity. At every forum, we see more participants from across the world, more languages represented, and more collaborations across sectors. From Forum 2024, for example, had over 1,500 participants from 112 countries. There are very few events that have so many different voices, diverse voices from around the world coming together. And these numbers for us really tell a very important story, that the field is expanding, that it's diversifying and becoming more inclusive, because we know we need multiple voices from different perspectives to be solving this complex problem. Next slide, please. Forum themes. Our 2026 themes really do reflect breadth and the depth of the field. They range from understanding the root causes and strengthening prevention and response strategies to really exploring how tech and AI both perpetuate and hopefully help us prevent violence and improve responses for survivors. We will also hope to see abstracts looking at how we can strengthen the science itself, research methods, how to understand how to take our programs to scale, what that looks like in practice, and of course, different forms of knowledge, indigenous knowledge, practice-based knowledge, and how we can use research for advocacy and policy change, because we deeply care about the impact of our research. And at the heart of all of this is one goal: building a healthy, connected, and ethical ecosystem for evidence building and a movement. It's like building a movement to improve evidence and practice on ending violence against women and children. So the next slide talks about how the forum is created and convened. What makes the forum unique, I think we all believe, is how it's created. It's entirely co-created by the field, for the field. The themes, the panels, and events emerge from collective priorities sourced from all of you. Ideas and topics for the forum opening and plenary, as well as dialogic sessions, are sourced through surveys and feedback from members. Forum themes and workshop topics are also developed based on outcomes of previous forums, feedback from previous delegates, current delegates, through surveys and post-survey workshops and conference evaluations, as well as online surveys. So it's not created by a small group of people. It is collectively pulled together by the field. And throughout the program, we try to ensure that we embed equity and justice, both in our speaker selection, by providing bursaries, ensuring visa support is available to those that need visas, and also in how we've selected Thailand is a country that is much more accessible to more countries in the world than other countries might be. And of course, trying to ensure that we have early career researchers and early career practitioners and activists in both the delegates and presenting in the forum. And everything we do at Forum and at SVRI is trauma-informed, with wellness spaces, counselling and other services woven throughout the event. And as I've already mentioned, we really try to make time for space, a time and space for joy through art, film and celebration. So if you've got ideas of what would be great to be included at SVRI Forum in Thailand, please email us. So let's talk about abstracts, because the abstract deadline is coming up. Next slide, please. The abstracts are how people from across the world bring your work, perspectives and innovations into the forum, and they shape who is on the forum program. We're accepting 3 different types of abstracts. Research-based abstracts are for presenting new evidence or findings, whether qualitative, quantitative or mixed methods. Programmatic or practice-based abstracts are for sharing programs, program design, implementation experiences, monitoring and evaluation findings. What have you found in your program? What have you learned? And why does it matter? And then we also have a panel abstract, which is an abstract that provides a group of 3 to 5 presentations around a shared theme. And strong panel abstracts draw on diverse programs or projects and provide a complementary perspective, helping to deepen understanding of a specific topic. And we expect to see abstracts for each presentation that will be included within that panel abstract. And we are accepting abstracts in English, Spanish, and French. And so this is really about creating a global conversation. It's beyond just being a conference. Next slide, please. So how do we review your abstracts? Abstracts are reviewed using clear criteria, which are available to you on the conference website. We want to make sure that the process is open, fair, and transparent. Each submission is peer reviewed by at least 2 peer reviewers. It's a blind peer review, so the reviewers don't know who the authors of the abstracts are, using the clear selection criteria. Reviewers assess the relevance of your research or program in terms of how it connects to the forum themes, how it addresses evidence gaps and program gaps, how it contributes to either improving responses or the prevention of violence against women and violence against children, or how it builds the science of how we do this work. And they will also be considered in terms of the quality of the methods and approaches, ensuring that research or programs are credible, ethical, and grounded in ethics or clear theories of change. For example, research-based abstracts, reviewers will examine whether the study design, the sampling, the analysis are appropriate, as well as the ethics of the study. For program abstracts, reviewers will be asked to look at whether the implementation, the monitoring and evaluation program approaches are clear, whether they're based on a sound theory of change, and whether there is some evidence underpinning the program. And all abstracts, and this is really important, all abstracts are assessed for their significance, the so what, in terms of findings or lessons advancing our understanding or practice, and for their contribution, the what next, particularly how the work is moving forward the field, especially in resource-limited settings. Your abstract really, we hope to see, will clearly outline what you're going to be presenting, how it builds and advances knowledge on the topic, and how it influences or informs policy or practice, and how it connects to a forum theme or research agenda priority, whether regional, global, or thematic, or country-specific. And these criteria really do reflect our values of rigor, equity, ethics, and usefulness to the field and to the survivors that we are here to serve. Next slide, please. So some important dates. Abstract submissions close on the 30th of January, so you've still got some time. And we hope to get back to you by June 2026 to let you know whether or not your abstract has been accepted. Early registration closes on the 28th of February. Exhibition booths and participant-driven events are already open for booking, and we encourage you to apply early as space is limited, and you can apply online. Next slide, please. So what do delegates say? I love including some quotes, what people tell us about what the forum means to them. People talk about it as nourishing, collaborative, powerful, the best conference in the world, which is super nice. One of my favorites is that you are a public global good, which is kind of awesome. So we really aim, that's what we really aim for the forum to be for you, a collective, open, inclusive space. And each forum is a learning. We learn from every forum and build on the last. And these reflections keep us grounded in what matters most: connection, learning, networking, and really building a movement. Next slide, please. So really my last word is please do join us. Our team is ready to support you with any questions on registration, abstracts, logistics, anything that you might have. This is not just an event, it is a movement of people working to end violence against women through evidence, practice, and connection. So thank you so much for joining us. And now I'm going to hand over to Alessandra Girdis to introduce the panel because Claudia has already introduced Alexandra. Over to you, Alessandra. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody, and thanks, Liz. Thanks, Claudia, for getting us started. My name is Alessandra, and it's really a pleasure to be here. I feel very grateful and privileged that I've been able to attend all of the SVRI events. And I think that in addition to being an amazing space to learn about everything that's going on in the world in our area of work, it is also an extremely important space for us to connect in solidarity, in support. And I think given the current state of the world, that's particularly important at the moment. And I hope to see as many of you there as possible. So I have the privilege of moderating this opportunity for us to hear from different colleagues who have been involved with the SVRI and the forum in different ways, so that you'll have a chance to hear from them about their experience. I apologize in advance for any mispronunciation that I make. Please feel free to correct me. But we are going to get started with Nambuzi Kiegombe from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, where she's an associate professor and also a co-director of the Gender, Violence and Health Center. And Nambuzi is based in Uganda. Nambuzi, you've engaged with the SVRI Forum in so many different ways, as a presenter, as a reviewer, as a partner, a researcher. We would really love to hear from you what keeps bringing you back, how you have seen the forum support the research ecosystem by connecting people, ideas, opportunities. So over to you, Nambuzi.
Thank you so much, Alessandra. Hello, everyone. And I think that's a really fantastic question. And as I was thinking and reflecting on it, I've been to other large international conferences, and I wondered what makes this a conference that I can never miss. And it is very much the highlight of my professional sort of conference activities. And I was wondering why that was. And I think it's very much about how the forum has positioned itself as the leading voice on the prevention of violence and other gendered forms of inequality. Things around the rigor of the information that's shared, whether that's the research findings, the policy, the fact that we are together as a community, we're all pulling together and working at the cutting edge, new methods, evidence, innovations. I really appreciate the opportunity to meet with people who just get it. Sometimes we have these big international scandals around violence and gendered violence, and then we have the sort of everyday challenges that we see in our lives. And just knowing that when you get there, you won't need to explain what gender is, you won't need to explain what feminism is. Everyone knows what you are talking about. I think it's very renewing for the energy that it takes to do this work. I also very much get the sense when I'm at SVRI that I can be confident in being hopeful. Sometimes, as I say, it can get quite dreary and bleary, and you think, gosh, are we ever going to get there? But when you've been at SVRI, when you've heard what the activists are doing, what the practitioners are doing, what other researchers are doing, you know that there is something that we can do. And it's not just a sense of naivety and just naive hope. There is actually evidence for you to actually internalize that hope, and that gives you energy to keep going. And as I say, that ecosystem is very important, because I'm a researcher. I need to learn from practitioners. I need to understand how to work with advocates and with activists and so on. So we're all going in the same way. Liz mentioned it as well, but this work can be really hard and really challenging. So I think the emphasis that SVRI places on self-care is really important, because we know we're going to go and hear some horrible data or some, stories about people being in really difficult positions. So knowing that you can walk out of that lecture or that session and go somewhere where you can feel understood and safe and protected, I think means that collective care makes it really, really worthwhile. And then just as a few final points, I really appreciate the continuity and the familiar faces. Every time I go, I meet someone for whom this is their first SVRI. But then I also meet people who've been to every SVRI. And whether you're brand new or you're a person who's been there several times, your place is secure. Your voice, your contribution is valued, and there isn't a sense of we are the old guard and you are the newbies. Everybody is there to learn together, and everybody has a place there. And then there's joy and fun. It's a highlight of my professional sort of career, but it's actually a good, fun place to be. I see people who I just never see apart from during an SVRI year, so I do look forward to it. It's a great way of convening like-minded people to do this. And then perhaps just as a final point, it leaves me feeling really re-energized, challenged, but also supported and ready to keep going on work that we are making progress. Sometimes it might feel that we're a long way off, but we are making progress. And SVRI is a way to know how to make that progress, to see that progress, to be reinvigorated in that progress, and to support each other to continue.
Thanks so much, Nambuzi. It's great to hear, and I fully agree with everything you have said. I think that on top of all of what you've already mentioned, this feeling of not being alone is incredibly energizing and powerful. So it is also a highlight of my professional year. So whenever there's a year when the forum is happening, it's very exciting. Thank you. We're going to now move to Iris Nuxumalo de Smith, who is the founder of the Laura Nakambe Consulting Group, which is a feminist-led organization. And we're super excited to hear from you, Iris, because you joined the forum as a young professional back in 2022 as a practitioner in forum via the SVRI Forum Awards, which are one of the most exciting elements that we find in the forum. And we would love to hear from you how those experiences helped shape you, your confidence, your sense of belonging, and the direction of your work since you joined the Mexico 2022 SVRI Forum. Over to you.
Thanks for your question, and good day, everyone. Stepping into the 2022 forum, I think professionally I was in a place of transition. My initial contributions in the sector had been through philanthropy, so leveraging strategic investments to end violence against women and girls in South Africa. And I had transitioned into more of a feminist movement building space with the hope of also contributing through knowledge production in the field. So my goal really going into SVRI was exploring that. What would it look like to be someone who's a part of knowledge production in the field? My hope was to network and to meet different parts of the field and to really have that opportunity for the first time to have the entire field in one room. Which is, it's a rare and beautiful occurrence. And it was so great that SVRI really convenes that every 2 years. So what I thought really was a hope to find my place in the field and learn and grow and connect with others. The forum for me then became an opportunity and an invitation to not only see myself as someone who wants to contribute to knowledge production in the field, but also to see myself as a leader, as a facilitator, and to step into an opportunity to become an organizational leader shortly after the SVRI Forum. So post-forum, I had the opportunity to co-lead the Coalition of Feminists for Social Change, COFEM, and I co-led the advocacy, movement building, and knowledge production strategies. It also opened really wonderful opportunities and doors to co-lead knowledge production through Lana Nagambe Consulting itself. And we led a study on EVOG funding flows in Africa, as well as leading a seminal study on African feminist philanthropy and how it works to support different social justice agendas. So I think what the forum did for me in terms of carving the direction of my career was to enable me to establish my own niche at the intersection of feminist movement building, social justice philanthropy, and knowledge production to end violence against women and girls.
That's really so great to hear. And I want to echo, the idea that Nambuzi also mentioned, that it's not a space that's hierarchical. I think I've been to conferences when it feels very hierarchical. And I think the mood in general of the forum is a very supportive one. And one of the things that I love seeing is the growth of colleagues, across time and the sophistication of their work. So thank you so much for sharing that. And it's super exciting to hear everything that's been going on since 2022. I'm now going to move to Mariam Gagoshashvili from the Ford Foundation. She's the program office with the Gender, Racial, and Ethnic Justice International team. And if I'm not mistaken, Mariam, I think this will be your first forum. So it's great because then, I saw in the chat some other colleagues who will be coming for the first time. And sometimes folks are a little bit worried about coming into the first time. So it'd be great to hear from you. And from a funder's perspective, it would be super helpful for us to know what drew the Ford Foundation to engage with the SVRI Forum, how you see spaces like this as an opportunity to support closer collaboration between funders, but also between funders, researchers, and practitioners, particularly for work that can benefit from regional collaboration or global collaboration. So over to you.
Thank you so much, Alessandra, and hello, everyone. Wonderful to be here. Yes, I feel indeed very fortunate that I will experience SVRI Forum this year. As Alessandra said, this will be my first time, but Ford Foundation is not new to the space. So I think my colleagues have attended at least a couple of past forums, if not more, and have really spoken so highly of it. And SVRI has been a partner of our foundation for some time now. It will be, I had to poll my colleagues a little bit to understand what to expect, and also what I can share in terms of our commitment and our interest in the space and what has been compelling for us. I just want to start by saying that the team that I represent, the global program, Gender, Racial, and Ethnic Justice International Program, is implementing a 10-year strategy to advance prevention efforts for gender-based violence globally. And one of our objectives is specifically to build a strong evidence base, not only on the manifestations and forms and prevalence of violence against women, children, gender diverse persons, but also to understand what are the effective prevention interventions, and also what programming works. So SVRI is really aligned with our strategy, specifically with this objective, and has become a very strategic partner. We would like to think that our partnership is based on mutual trust and collaboration. We are learning a lot from SVRI, and our strategy has been infused by some of the principles that the SVRI Forum is embedding. The fact that Ford Foundation provides SVRI with an institutional strengthening grant speaks to our recognition of the unique and important role that SVRI plays in the ecosystem. It really is a backbone of global research ecosystem for violence against women and children in the global majority, in the low and middle income countries in particular. And for us, supporting the forum is not supporting a single event. It's about investing in evidence and evidence-based advocacy ecosystem. We really believe that through supporting this event, we are supporting the infrastructure that's necessary for preventing and ending gender-based violence. We really are drawn to the forum because it brings together really diverse set of actors, and Ford Foundation supports various stakeholders, not only civil society but also academic researchers, intermediary grant makers, feminist funds, think tanks, and so on. But we really also at the same time appreciate that now women's rights organizations are really at the front and center of the forum, and they're recognized as key drivers of change on the ground. And we also really like the fact that SVR has created a space where different forms of evidence are in conversation with one another. You have academic research, there's practice-based knowledge, there's policy analysis. Now, there's knowledge that's coming from lived experiences and lived realities, which is so important. And then there are also perspectives from funding world and policy advocacy. And it's very unique because a lot of times as funders, we see the strategies are really siloed, or stakeholders are operating in parallel or like in isolation from one another. But Forum creates a space that actually breaks down these silos and allows all these different strategies, approaches, stakeholders to intersect with one another. And this is really essential for collective and coordinated work. And I think today more than ever, we really feel the need to come together in community. And that was mentioned by my colleagues earlier. It's like in-person convenings are such political and strategic necessity. And we need face-to-face connections. We need to deepen solidarity and trust and build power together. And without spaces like SVRI Forum, this would be really hard to achieve. Also, I will share that for Ford Foundation and other funders, the forum has also creating a platform for us to bring our partners together and connect with our existing grantee partners, meet new organizations. So it has also been a pragmatic space for us and an opportunity not to duplicate any efforts and move in sync with the field and with our partners. I must also emphasize that SVRI's forum's deliberate move to shift power and shift the values around whose knowledge is recognized as knowledge and valued is really important for us, and we've learned from it by prioritizing researchers and practitioners from low and middle income countries. SVRI Forum ensures that local voices and priorities are shaping global agendas. There is a deep commitment to center survivors' experiences, uplift voices from the margins of power, and to also build a field that's very trauma-informed. These values we have absorbed in our own strategy, and I think with this, I will also say that it's a really good opportunity for philanthropic advocacy and influencing for all the funders who will be in the room, are learning and listening, hopefully. I think going forward, we're really excited to partner with SVRI this year and beyond and to attend the forum. We really think that this forum is a movement building platform, and I personally have a deep commitment to and to deep belief and conviction that movements are essential for systemic and structural change. So looking forward to the forum and to meeting many of you there.
Thanks so much, Mariam. I love your words, and we are so grateful to all of the donors that allow us to make this happen. So thank you so much. And I'm loving all the comments in the chat. And Nancy says, this is my first time to attend, and from what I'm hearing, the people here actually get it. we try really hard to get it, Nancy. And, you will see that sometimes even as the forum is taking place and we're getting feedback, we're trying to make adjustments. And certainly the forum, it looks what it does today because we have learned and heard from you and have tried to address all of the suggestions that have been made. So keep those comments coming and keep those questions coming too, because we'll have a chance to respond to many of your questions. But now I'm going to go back to Claudia. Claudia, if you could turn your video and your audio on again, we have a question for you. And, like me, you've been here since the very beginning and even before, because you're founder of the SVRI and of the forum. And so we would love to hear from you what you think the forum has made possible in the field that simply didn't exist before. So a little bit of your perspective looking across time. Over to you, Claudia.
Thank you. I think Miriam has mentioned already some of these things around movement building, but I will start maybe by saying that in the very first forum, there were about 200, 250 people, I think. And the overwhelming comment and was around the importance of having a safe space and a space where you were not like the lonely voice in the wilderness. A lot of the people who came to that first meeting were really quite marginalized within their own universities, within their own, and it was really seen as a very marginal field of research, one without any prestige, and where, there was a few random stragglers that were doing research in this area. So people felt very lonely, and as the first SVRI Forum was really invigorating for people from that point of view. All of a sudden realizing that, yes, you're on your own in your university, but there's actually several other people alone in their own environments, and that together it could be a force. And I think we've seen that really dramatically change over time, over the 12, 15 years that we've been doing this. And it's not just because of the forum, but I think the forum has provided that space every 2 years to come together, to feel that you can share in a very frank way, that you don't have to pretend everything is wonderful. And, and as I think I'll pick up on some of the things that were said. I think Namlusi mentioned the importance of self-care. And that became a feature very early on of the forum, and as the forum grew in numbers, and now we're up to 1,500 people. I can't remember the exact number of the last one, but we really try to work very hard to think, how can we preserve some of that feeling of safety and of camaraderie, and open sharing in a context where, you have more and more people. Not everybody is coming at it necessarily through a feminist or a political trajectory. A lot of people are just coming, from a purely scientific or research perspective. So as the field broadens, I think it's also diversifying, and that's good. We need to be challenged, and we also need to engage with many fields, like, I don't know, economists and people that we have not necessarily engaged with at the beginning. I think we have a growing number of men engaging, although still very few, relatively speaking. I think that it is important. We keep saying that this is not just a women's issue, but in terms of the research, we also need to bring those other voices in. And so I think that the forum has contributed to that growth, and at the same time to having that space where we can come together every 2 years. And there are people who really, as Alessandra was saying, every 2 years, that there's going to be this meeting where A, you're going to meet a lot of old friends, but B, you're going to, I think the other issue that I would say is that there are quite a few collaborations that have started at a forum meeting. People meet and, I'm doing this, and how does it link with what you're doing? And, and let's work together. So it has led to quite a few, I think, very concrete collaborations that have grown out of the forum. we now have an early career researcher, network that has grown amazing. I mean, it started really just in the last forum. It was just beginning, and now it's got like lots of members, and it's very active, and it holds seminars and supports people as they start to work in this area. And then last, I'll just finish with, I think the issue of the mentoring of the next generation has been also an important thing. Capacity building has always been a focus of the work of the forum, of the SVRI, not just the forum, of the SVRI in general, with a focus on strengthening research, and supporting researchers from LMICs to be able to not just do their research, but publish it, disseminate it, etc. And I think that it's really very, very rewarding and encouraging to see the growth of that younger generation of researchers, because for those of us who started 30 years ago, where there was really very few people, it felt like, oh my God, like what happens when we all leave? And I think now we can say it's there, and it'll continue, and it'll grow, and it'll take different directions. So I think it's great. It's really been a very fantastic experience, I think, to see it grow in the way it has, not just the forum, but also the field. But I do feel the forum has played a good grounding role for many researchers, particularly from LMICs. I'll stop there.
Thanks so much, Claudia, and I fully agree with you. I think one of the things that I'm most excited about when I go to the forum is to see this younger generation and their sophistication. And I also, going back to a point that Mariam has made and others have as well, the idea of breaking silos, whether it's across hierarchies, whether it's across disciplines or the donor, grantee. I think it's been a marker of the SVRI Forum. And when I look across time, one of the things that I think we've done really well in terms of breaking silos is across the violence against children and violence against women communities, and how we are looking at those issues in a more coordinated way. So there are all kinds of ways that that we can use this opportunity to build solidarity and collaboration. So I want to now turn to your questions. And to do that, I want to invite Lisa Lutz from the Sexual Violence Research Initiative to join us, because honestly, she's the best placed person to answer many of the questions that have been raised. So maybe, Lisa, we can start with the questions that are more directed at the abstracts and the length of the presentations. And then I would flag to Nambuzi and Iris that there's a question in the chat that we're hoping you're going to answer. And please keep your questions coming, and we'll do our best to answer as many as possible. Over to you, Lizzo. Thank you.
Thank you, Alessandra, and hi, everybody. It's amazing to see the turnout, really lovely. I saw there was a question in the Q&A box around submitting 2 abstracts. So just to say that there's no limit to the amount of abstracts that you can submit. What we just would like to ask you is, we really advocate for diverse participation. So usually we ask, if there is more than 1 abstract submitted, if you could potentially ask a co-author to maybe to present on the second abstract. So just for that diversity in the program. Where it's not possible, you can have a prior conversation with us and we can see how to work that out. I also saw a question around visa letters. So yes, once you have registered, we'd be happy to provide you with an invitation letter. We are also working with the Thai Convention and Exhibition Bureau. So if you do have any issues around visas and obtaining a visa, you can write to us and we can communicate with the Thai authorities on that. The question around the times for presentations. So generally we have about 4 to 5 presentations in a session. So that means that for research presentations, it's generally between 10 to 12 minutes. And then that's usually followed by 5 to 10 minutes of Q&A. So, but that will solely depend on the number of presentations in the panel. We also have sometimes intervention panels, and these will be fewer, so the time will be a little bit longer. So it might be 15 to 20 minutes. Right. I also saw a question in the chat on fees and how to get reduced fees. So we do currently have a lower cost. It's the early bird registration that is open until the 28th, as Liz has mentioned earlier. And just to say that we understand that the costs are high for some folk in certain regions. We do try to keep the costs as low as possible while still providing the level of care and depth and quality that makes the forum really meaningful. We try to really give people as much as we can with the fees. And in saying that, we are working really hard on fundraising for bursaries. So we are still working out those budgets. And if we do have funds available, we will be putting out a call. So Paula, I wonder if you could maybe just put the link to our listserv again so that people can join the listserv so that if there's a call coming out, you will be able to see that. I also saw a question around sponsorship opportunities, and I think that's the bursary question as well. So that should address that. There was a question on
Lizzo, can I
exhibition
come in?
stats. Mhm.
Just so you can take a breather and go through the questions. There's a question that Iris has kindly offered to
Perfect. Yes, please.
respond. And
Do
it
go
comes
ahead.
from a fellow Brazilian. And the question is, as a researcher on institutional moral harassment, especially in the workplace, as a form of gender-based violence, I'm not sure if the SVRI should be the place for this subject, as I feel the focus is really on more classic forms of violence. Thanks so much, Iris. Over to you.
Thank you, Alessandra. I'll speak from my experience presenting at the 2022 forum. My abstract, the topic was actually at the intersection of organizational scholarship and GBV. And I found that as long as you could make the argument, I guess, in alignment with the conference themes, that there was a place for it. In fact, there was such a diversity of topics presented on different angles of violence against women and children that it didn't seem like there was a classic, you know what I mean? There isn't a pigeoning of these are the only forms of violence that we are interested in. So I think if you can find alignment with the forum themes and bring your topic into that, then the SVRI Forum could be the place for that. And perhaps even in that context, you could inspire more inquiry into your line of research as well.
Thank you so much, Iris. Nambusi, can I come to you with the question on social norms? And we're veering off a little bit from the main focus, which is the forum, but maybe we can do that and then come back to the forum. The question is strategies that can be adopted to break entrenched patriarchal norms that support all forms of violence. Again, let's keep that brief because it's a little bit off a tangent, but we do want to try to respond to colleagues. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Alessandra, and thank you for the question. And just to say, I think it is sort of answered at the forum in that patriarchal norms are the fundamental driver of, or one of the fundamental drivers of violence against women and violence against children. So that's exactly what the forum is trying to address. There are lots of strategies that can be used. May I direct you to obviously the work of the forum, but also the work of the FCDO funded What Works to Prevent Violence Against Women and Girls. There was the first one that sort of tried to pull together the evidence across community mobilization, economics, in terms of financing and so on and so forth. And now there's What Works too. How do we build and scale on that? So those are two very good starting points. But beyond that, I think what's very important to emphasize, whilst not trying to reduce the responsibility that men hold for perpetrating the violence, is that patriarchy also adversely affects men. And some of those topics are exactly what the forum discusses. So please do have a look at the work of What Works 1 and What Works 2. On how to prevent violence against women and girls.
Thanks, Nambusi. And sort of linked to that and to the question from Taina, I'm not sure if you've seen, but all of the previous fora are up online and you can see not just the program, but also the different PowerPoints and presentations. So if you want to get a sense of whether the content is something that's relevant to you or whether your work fits, then I would welcome you to take a look at the websites and go through the different presentations to get a sense of the content. I'm going to go to Lizzo for one last question before I hand it back to Claudia to close so that we can finish on time. Over to you, Lizzo. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I saw a question on whether submissions can be practice-based. So absolutely, we actually have a separate submission system for that so that we can separate the research and the practice-based or program abstract. So please do go ahead. It's on the abstract submission page. And then just Alessandra, just the last one. There was a question on must abstract submissions be on new research or can submissions be from published or near published research? So yes, please do submit published or near published research as well as new research. Thank you so much. And we'll try and answer as much as we can in the chat as well as we close. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lizzo. It's been so exciting to see all of the reactions and the comments from people from Kenya, Mexico, India, Brazil. So, already the energy is really exciting. I'm going to hand it over to Claudia to close this conversation off. But thanks, everybody, for joining. Over to you, Claudia.
Thank you, Alessandra, and thank you all for joining us for this today, for this inspiring exchange. I think what we've heard, gives you a little bit of a hint of some of the value of the SVRI Forum. It's really a collective space that is built by all of us for learning, for sharing, for connecting, and for taking action. So it is really all of you and all of us that together make this possible. So really, once again, a heartfelt thank to our partners at the Australian Volunteers Program who have co-funded this series of seminars, and to our speakers, Liz for reminding us why the SVRI exists and why this collective space matters. Our co-host collectives, the Southeast Asia GBV Prevention Platform and the UN Joint Program on GBV Prevention in Southeast Asia. Obviously, they couldn't join us because of the time zone, but we are very grateful for their ongoing partnership and support on the ground. And thank you to Alessandra, who as always guides the panel with grace and with clarity, and her dedication to the SVRI over the years, not 3, but many more, has been invaluable and very much appreciated. To the panelists, Nambusi, Iris, and Mariam, really grateful for the sharing, for the ongoing partnership, for coming back in the case of Iris and Nambusi, and Mariam for joining us. We are very lucky that we have so many good partners on this journey with us. And thank you also to the interpreters and the SVRI team who keeps us connected through all the technical support behind the scenes. Paula, who's been keeping us all on track also. And so just a few in the last 3 minutes, a reminder of the important dates you have to have in mind. Abstract submissions open until 30th of January. So please don't miss the opportunity to share your work, and also bring in colleagues, talk to your friends and colleagues, encourage them to submit abstracts and to come. The links are in the chat. We continue to fundraise and hope to launch another bursary call in the coming months. So make sure that your abstract is submitted in order to be eligible for a potential bursary, which of course will depend on our success in fundraising, but we are always hopeful. And keep an eye on the website, because we'll be sharing updates on the forum and all the upcoming activities. There's a seminar tomorrow, not directly related to the forum, but so we have ongoing set of seminars, publications, etc. So join the website, but also LinkedIn, Instagram. You can find the SVRI there, and please sign up for the SVRI newsletter. Again, the link will be in the chat. And as mentioned at the beginning, we'll have the recording available in the next 2 days, and we'll circulate it. So with that, really thank you once again for being part of this effort. And we hope to see as many of you as possible in Bangkok. So goodbye for now, and see you soon, everyone.